Welcome to MSP Unplugged, episode number 64, Tech Talk. Mike Wise of Clockwork Networks. I'm your host, Jeff Halish. This is our live show where we discuss different ways to run your IT business, whether it's managed services, consulting, break fix, or anything in between. Let me introduce my co-host today. We have Mike Wise from Clockwork Networks. Mike, how you doing?
Good. Glad to be here today, Jeff.
Good to have you. All right, before we get started, we're going to go and do a little call to action for something coming up in September of 2021. Yes, our very exciting TechCon Unplugged 2021. It is September 17th through the 19th, so it's over a weekend, and it's at the Aloft Hotel in Rosemont, Illinois. So that's outside of Chicago. You can fly into the airport, get a shuttle right to the hotel. It's easy peasy. And you can also, if you're driving in, you don't have to pay for parking because Paco has got an awesome deal for each and every one of you where you can just park your car for free. And it's comped on the hotel for those that are staying there. So that's pretty cool, especially anywhere around the Chicago area. Most of the time you have to pay for parking. You can learn from amazing panels to help maintain and improve your business. That's what we're all about on a daily, monthly, yearly basis. You can also meet vendors to find products and services that you can save your time and money on, which is what we're all trying to do, I hope, on a regular basis. And you can also rub elbows with your peers in the community. No hugging and kissing and all that kind of stuff, but we can rub some elbows and, give some, air high fives or something like that. Seems like things are relaxing a little bit, so everything should be good, but all precautions will be in place for whatever the state of Illinois has and what others request. You can get your tickets now before they sell out for only $199. $199, what's that going to get you? That is going to get you the weekend full of food, fun, and fame. Well, maybe not the fame part, but the food and fun will definitely be there. And we're going to feed you on Friday night when we have a welcome dinner. And also we're going to feed you a breakfast and lunch during the show on Saturday. And then Saturday night, we're going to go out and we're going to have a nice facility that Paco has gotten for us. And I can't remember the name of it, so I'm not going to bring it to you, but he'll tell you, and it should be up on the website here pretty soon. We'll be having dinner and time to hang out and chat and all that kind of good stuff. And then Sunday, you're going to get breakfast and also lunch, plus a ton of great content, a ton of great vendors to meet and talk to about their products and services. And it's just going to be a great time. Plus, you're going to be able to get away from your business because, as we know, if you don't physically get away from your business, you really don't unplug. And there's many of you out there that will, you'll say, yes, that is the absolute case. So you're going to get a great time of camaraderie and hanging out. And I just encourage everybody to go over to techconunplugged.com. Check it out today. And get those tickets because we have a capacity. And as soon as that capacity is full, we have to put everyone on a wait list. So if it's something you're thinking about, hey, now's the time. It's almost June. And we're getting there. So a lot of great stuff. We just came up with a lot of good content that will be put up on the website here, hopefully by the beginning of the month. So you'll be able to see all that stuff there too. Anyways, go over to techconunplugged.com. All right, so let's go in. This is our special episode we started doing called Tech Talk. And we got a lot of feedback from the community of wanting to have techs kind of come in and share their business things so that we could learn from them. And that's why we have brought Mike Wise on today. So Mike, I've already given your name.
Yeah.
But why don't you go ahead and give your name, your location, and how many years have you been in business?
Hey folks, it's Mike Wise from Denver, Colorado. And I've been the chief engineer and owner of Clockwork Networks for the past 6 years. I've grown up with tech, and once corporate America and I parted ways, I started Clockwork Networks 6 years ago.
Now, just a little side story. What did you do in corporate America? Was it something similar to what you're doing today, or was it something a totally different field?
I've been in and out of IT. So when I left, I was actually doing software engineering for a big government contractor. That was my most recent thing. But But coincidentally, I used to do IT for big government contractors, but that's what I left. Or when I left, that's what I was knee deep in at the time.
Okay. Very cool. All right. So why don't you go ahead and give us your 30-second elevator pitch? What is it you do in your business? If you were to get in an elevator with somebody and they were all of a sudden go, hey, what do you do?
Hey, hi, my name is Mike Wise, and I am like I said before, I am the chief engineer and owner of Clockwork Networks. Clockwork Networks services the computer needs of small, medium-sized businesses in the Denver, Colorado area. You know, Jeff, one of the things I do is when I go to networking groups or folks ask what I do, that's as much as I'll say. As far as what I do, I might say, well, I do desktop support, and I take care of your business's computer needs. But what I find has a lot more traction in these kinds of conversations is instead of talking about what you do, talk about what you've done. For some reason, that just when you give a specific example that may even seem to be kind of unique or in the weeds, that seems to get better attention. Like I said, I just took on. So Jeff, what have I been up to? Last week, when I was onboarding a client, I spent a lot of time focusing in with each user to get their two-factor authentication set up for each person to protect their Microsoft account. Because once you do that, it makes it much more difficult to hack. Now, I don't know, something like that, and that suddenly now that's interesting.
Let me ask you a question, because I heard you and I understand what you said, but a lot of times I think the normal end user, do they even know what two-factor authentication is? And is there a way to kind of shorten that and maybe go, hey, you know what? We protect your Microsoft accounts from getting hacked. Something that they would read in the news, or do they like here? Oh, two-factor authentication. That sounds pretty cool.
No one's ever said that, Jeff. I realize the audience of this show is different, but no, you're absolutely right. And you know what? I'm not really great at this. A lot of the times but I try to stay observant. I try to figure out when eyes are rolling or when there's a spark.
Right. That's good. That's good, because those are the experiences that you learn from by the interactions you have with others.
Yeah. Look for a spark. Or if your conversation is not creating a spark, what could you do differently? Things like what creates a spark? Like Jeff, what's a big town in your area?
Detroit.
Detroit. Okay, Detroit. It's like, hey Jeff, I just took on a new client. I am I do the IT support for the downtown Detroit Chamber of Commerce. Right there, what you just did. When I happen to do the IT for my business's chamber, my town's Chamber of Commerce. And for some reason that pops. I don't know why, but it does. And I say, I do the IT for the Castle Rock Chamber of Commerce. And people are like, oh, really? But if I say I just fixed their 2FA or what, no one cares.
Exactly.
So, but just find those responses and remember them, and see if that, and maybe it has something to do with who you are, or it might have something to do with who they are. But if it has something to do with who you are, and just as you talk about something, giving that kind of, I don't know, for some reason in Castle Rock, Colorado, when I talk about one of my clients is the Chamber of Commerce, I see the spark.
That's good. I like that. Yeah, because everybody knows what a Chamber of Commerce is, or most people really should know what a Chamber of Commerce is, especially the people you're dealing with that probably own businesses and stuff like that. Because a lot of them have dealt with the Chamber of Commerce in one form or fashion. So it makes sense to do something that's recognizable. I like that.
Yeah, and nowadays I'm so I'm the owner operator of Clockwork Networks. I don't have staff. My target is I provide MSP services, and my target is businesses with 5 to 25 staff. And an ideal client might be a business that runs Microsoft Office. And I might keep my elevator pitch just to that kind of thing, and as a quick alternate. example. So a lot of the times I am looking for new business. I'm not established. I'm not where I want to be yet. So a lot of things that's kicking around in my head are things like, what works when going to networking events and what doesn't work.
Well, I want to talk about that because you talked about your customer type and the type of business that you do. Now, do you have and I hate this word, but everybody uses it, so everybody will understand it. Do you have a vertical that you keep with, or are you kind of spread out into a little bit of everything?
Yeah, well, I guess the vertical is not like, I don't just do tax preparation. I don't just do, no. It's really if I were to characterize my vertical, it would really be small offices that use Microsoft Office.
Okay. So that's a little more broad spectrum, which is kind of good in a certain way. I know a lot of people will deal with like dental offices or doctors' offices of certain types, or like you said, accountants and stuff like that, or lawyers. But when you can kind of be spread out and know a little bit of everything in those industries, and especially a lot of offices are small. They're smaller than most people would think. Let me put it that way.
Yeah. And I use that as my vertical, even though it's pretty wide, because it really implies a lot about what are the computing needs of this business. If they're using Microsoft Office, if they have like 5 to 25 staff, they're going to have, if they're not accustomed to having IT support, they're going to have data living in unexpected places. They're going to have some people running around with laptops, some folks just at the office. They're going to have backup needs, and managed antivirus needs and stuff like that. There's a lot of, regular MSP products and solutions that apply across almost any business that runs Microsoft Office. I don't know. That's been my observation.
It's good. All right. So let's talk about, what is your business format? In other words, what do you do? How do you run your business as far as break fix, MSP, contracts, all you can eat, all that kind of stuff, project work? How do you define your business as far as the types of things that you will do inside of your business?
Right. So I'm primarily, if I am looking to grow my business, to find opportunities, I look for project work. I look for break fix opportunities with a business. And I look for opportunities to make the ouchie go away. Because if I can go in and hit a home run with that, then we can start the conversation about how do we keep this from happening again? Or something like, if you like the work I've done today, let's talk about how we can keep things, how to keep the conversation going with more stuff to do, and let's talk about preventative maintenance. And because nothing builds trust better than just overperforming for someone. So instead of leading my marketing necessarily with, who's looking for MSP services, that's a tough sell for me anyway. So
now, Mike, it's a tough sell for anybody that tells you that they sell their MSP services under the name MSP is lying, because no person out there knows what a managed service provider is. And a managed service provider is not just to our industry. A managed service provider has been around, like I've said in the past, since the beginning of time. Some guy was shoveling camel dung somewhere, and he was doing it on a weekly, monthly basis years and years ago. So that's been around forever. But you're hitting the nail on the head where you're talking about getting down in the weeds where the people are at, and trying to figure out what it is they trying to cure what it is that's ailing them. And that's where it's key. And here's the thing, a lot of people, if you're starting out, I will tell everybody this, and you want to get business clients, and you want to be the MSP, and you want to be whatever it is you want your business to look like, let me tell you, everything really starts with break fix. It really does. The people, somebody goes, I have a computer problem. Can you fix it? You go in and fix that problem, like you said, Mike, and then you start talking about other things, preventative maintenance and all that kind of stuff. And they'll go, oh, because one of the things I've always said to my customers is, okay, we can do this one of two ways. I can come in every time your system is borked. No, I don't use that term, but for a lot of you out there, you'll know what that means. Or we can maintain this on a regular basis where your computing will be the same day in and day out. And when there's an issue, we'll come back in and fix it. But you're not going to have this where over time, your computer starts to slow down and starts not working right until you get to the point where you can't stand it anymore. Nobody wants to work in an environment like that, yet people do all the time. All right.
It's true, and especially finding the ouchie and being able to respond to it. In the chat is a question: How are you trying to find new clients that have an owie that needs fixed? So I recently rejoined BNI, and I struggled with it for a couple of years. And as a B2B business, looking for other businesses, because those chapters were primarily comprised of B2C businesses, and there really wasn't a great way for me to speak their language, or how do I get a landscaping business that's purely residential to get what I do, unless I'm available to fix their mom's computer. So I really struggled for the first couple of years with BNI, and then I went away from it for a couple of years. But now that I'm back, and I've been back for a few months, I got to say quarantine has made things so different and actually better for my experience with BNI, as unintuitive as that sounds. It's because it's all Zoom now, and that's going to change. But right now it's all Zoom, and right now a lot of opportunities for finding new business is in things like Facebook groups, like word of mouth groups. I don't know if you've heard of that. It's just any other kind of Facebook group, but they call it word of mouth, and it's restricted to a region. Like in my area, there's towns called Word of Mouth Englewood, Word of Mouth Castle Rock, Word of Mouth Highlands Ranch, and so on. You get the idea. So, and then people post to it just like a next door kind of thing. Hey, how long is the line at In-N-Out Burger right now? Right? You get that. But occasionally you'll get, hey, I have my husband's business, my wife's business is looking for IT support. I swear, I saw that 2 months ago. And this is what happened. I saw that, and I mobilized my BNI group. And this is folks I've done little one-off things for. And I'm like, hey, here's the link to that post. Would you mind responding to that with a testimonial for me? I had 10 testimonials on that post, and far outweighed anyone else's responses. And sure enough, that became a prospect, and I was able to close it, and now they're a client.
That's awesome.
It's like BNI worked for me in this, I don't know, a non-traditional way. I'm not sure, but I'm looking for ways to grow the business through what's the overused word now? We're pivoting.
There's a lot of overused words, and that could be one of them.
Yeah. So anyway, so to hope that helps answer the question that how do I find new clients that have an owie that needs fixed? I keep an eye out on things like Nextdoor, things like the Facebook groups, because here's the thing, I don't know what it is, but when people ask questions on those forums, it's as if they've tried everything else already. And whoever says something in the first hour, they're going to respond to. They're desperate at this point. That's just been my observation. So it's kind of like if you can mobilize a handful of people to give a testimony on your behalf to a fresh post on Nextdoor or something, that is gold.
That's good. All right, Mike, let's move on a little bit, and let's talk about what's in your tech stack. What companies, what vendors are you using in your business?
I use SolarWinds, Enable, RMM, and I made some notes and I can't find them. So I use QuickBooks. So wait, I might as well finish my sentence. I use QuickBooks Online for my invoicing. Going back to Enable RMM, for the remote management, monitoring, remote access. It comes with something called web protection. That's kind of like a DNS filter that lives on each endpoint. And there's also, I can also do cloud-based backups through the Enable. So it solves a lot of issues. One of the things, hey, Enable folks out there, this is a tip that I came across embarrassingly too long, but the remote control software is called Take Control, right? And it's included, and it's kind of crappy. I mean, unless you're into getting disconnected every 5 minutes, unless every time you connect, the window size is going to be some absurdly small size or normal, who knows? It's a crapshoot. And when you move the mouse around or you double click something, it's like, did it really double click? Yeah, that's Take Control. So, but what they do have, and I just realized this, if you get in and you use the Take Control, get into that workstation, if it's running Windows 10 Pro, go to desktop or remote desktop settings, enable RDP, right? And then there's a drop down in the Take Control that says use RDP. Click that, and then you log in. You have to log in again, and now it's an RDP session that the Take Control in the first place tunneled through that's going to permit. And then you get the, all the glory of the RDP, and that's a full screen. The mouse actually moves right. You're not getting disconnected every 5 minutes. And then, and when you first connect with RDP, that your window is still open where you had to enable it in the first place. You can just disable it. That will not disconnect you. And now you don't have to worry about the RDP, being running after you disconnect. And then you move on and you do your business. And all of a sudden, enables Take Control is now pleasurable to use. And I'll say even better, an RDP experience, I think, is even better than anything else, like Screen Connect or anything like that. So that's my little tip for you Enable folks out there.
Nice. I like it. All right. So we talked about, obviously you're using, you said Enable for your RMM. Who do you use for antivirus? What are you putting on your machines right now?
SentinelOne. Again, all my clients or I try to make them all, my business is all about MSP, recurring revenue, this kind of stuff. And so a lot of the products I use is going to have a dashboard associated with it to check to be able to monitor how things are going. So makes it a challenge when there's a one-off opportunity that, okay, you caught me in a good mood. Let's see what grandma's computer's doing, right? And so it's like, when all your products really are MSP focused, then, actually I have another idea. When you don't have, what products do you have to help grandma's laptop when all you have is SentinelOne that's going to have a dashboard, and you're really reserving this for your MSP clients, and this is just not the right match. You know what I've done? Our friends from Malwarebytes, the TechBench subscription. I know a lot of us subscribe to it. It'll come with 25 licenses of Malwarebytes. Now I use TechBench all the time. Okay, as another tool I use. I love it because you can. It has a blue screen BSOD log reader. It has an excellent network scanner to see what's on the network, and you can launch tools like DISM, launch tools like System File Checker, SFC. But anyway, it comes with they include 25 licenses for regular Malwarebytes. That's what I'll sell. That's what I'll sell to the one-off clients. And you know what's also really good? If you're in a B&I chapter and you're in a chapter with a lot of B2C folks and their eyes are rolling back of their heads when you're talking about servers and stuff, if you say you have really cheap antivirus to sell, that might spark that. You might get a spark out of that. And that's what I reserve it for. I have this 25 licenses from Malwarebytes. I sell them really cheaply, like for $20, just to my B&I folks that is not a good fit for MSP services, but they want to we want to be able to check out each other's business and offerings and the experience of working with one another. So I'll use those Malwarebytes licenses for my B&I folks, and I get traction with that. People come in. I could see the spark that gets created when I mention something like as accessible as antivirus for their machine.
Very cool. All right, let's talk about some of your favorite hardware vendors at this point. Who do you like to use for your hardware when it comes to networking and other things you use in your business?
A lot of times, yeah. A lot of times we wind up inheriting a client's infrastructure, so you kind of run with that unless you feel it's important to replace it. So a lot of times it can start off as a hodgepodge, But what I try to get people into then is I'm partnered with Dell. I have a Dell representative that can get slightly better pricing. So what I do is I have clients go to the Dell website. Actually, what I will do is I'll pick out, if they're interested in a brand new computer or even leasing a computer, I'll help them pick them out, and I'll pick out what's the best solution for them, and then let them see on the Dell website how much it costs and this kind of stuff, and I'll make sure it's the right thing and this kind of stuff. So I figure out, I take care of the sales. How do I say this? I take care of picking out the right technology for them, and I'm not interested in a big markup. I don't care. This is one-off, one and done. Remember, I don't have a ton of clients. This is the 5 to 25 space. So I really want to be able to wow them with something that's affordable and the right choice. And then they'll pick it out, and then I'll go to my guy, get a little discount off of that price that I get to pocket, and I charge what Dell has on the website and go from there. So I enjoy that relationship with Dell. And I also really am impressed with Synology. I try to incorporate Synology as much as I can when it comes to when there's a need for on-premise backup and even some of the fancy apps. Hey, we have another question in the chat. We have a chat question. Bring it up on the screen, Jeff. Joe K says, "What firewall?" I don't even know what that. I don't even know what I just said. What did I just say?
Yeah, unfortunately, all these questions are actually in here once we get to the end of the interview. But yeah, we're getting some of the questions a little ahead of time.
Oh,
but yeah,
okay.
go ahead and answer. So Joe K asks, "What firewall do you use?"
I see. I have the most experience with Calyptix firewalls. I've been running those for a few years, and you know what? Some of the shortcomings of the features that may not be in Calyptix is I think overcome by what makes it work for me is the support. It's almost like they always answer the phone, and with a skilled, there's no tier 1 help desk. I mean, you talk to the real deal when they answer the phone for you. And it's like if something's not working, they will figure that out right away, and they will ship you a new one in no time if that's the case. And I love that experience because things like firewalls, for me, I'm always learning. And to have that type of expertise just a phone call away is gold.
Very cool. All right, we're going to keep all the questions from the chat till the end once we get through the rest of these questions for Mike that he has answered for us. And then we'll kind of go into any conversations about anything that has not been talked about, so we're not double doing things. All right, so let's talk about favorite distributors. Who do you use as a distributor?
Amazon.
You know, it's funny because I've heard it's always been a number one. I know John's talked about it a lot of using Amazon, and it just dawned on me when you put that answer in the list the other day. I'm like going, Amazon is a distributor, and I think a lot of people discount them because they're not a quote unquote IT distributor, but it doesn't really matter because it still works for our businesses and many others.
If I had bigger clients and bigger needs, I mean, if you go to Amazon and you need to purchase 15 laptops of the exact same thing, you might be in a lot of trouble. And Amazon is absolutely not for you. But for me, it's like onesies, twosies, and it just seems to be very convenient. I'm also partnered with Pax8 to get just a little bit of revenue from the Microsoft 365 subscriptions. But yeah, I'd say Amazon sees my credit card a lot more often than Pax8.
Well, I was going to say, as far as Pax8 goes, though, one of the nice things about them is you can get around a lot of the, maximums that you might have to have or minimums that you might have to have in a business. Yeah, I guess, yeah, not maximums, minimums that you have to have in a business. They do their licensing a little different because they do it as a big group that comes in and buys XYZ product. And also, they don't lock you into a lot of things. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah. And also, I enjoy Pax8. They're located in just south of Denver. They're like, when I talk to my rep or I talk to tech support, I'm like, hey, where are you? And they'll be like, oh, I'm in Parker. I'm like, I'm in Castle Rock. Yeah. And we talk about the weather or something dumb. And then we go from there.
All right, let's talk. We talked about a couple of your favorite tools. You use the Malwarebytes Tech Bench. What other hardware or software tools do you use in your business on a regular basis?
You know what I use, started using regularly? OneDrive. OneDrive. I don't know. Is OneDrive universally hated or universally loved, Jeff?
I use it for certain things. So, I mean, it just depends on what you want to use it for. I've set customers up differently where maybe I will have if they've had a problem in the past, I might have their OneDrive. Actually, when they save a document, it just goes to OneDrive. Because even on a normal Microsoft account, you're gonna get 5 gigs free, which is fine for most people in their documents and stuff. And I've actually had people that have had computers, and basically we go back and log in their Microsoft account, and all their stuff's it's right there for what they need. So it just depends on the client. So
you're right, and Jeff, it works the same way for you, for us. Like, so what I do, I have a client. Say I have a client, 10 staff client, and say they. Well, it doesn't matter whether or not they're kind of a Microsoft outfit. Let's just say, well, let's say they have Windows 10 Pro. So regardless if, they're running Microsoft 365 or not, or even regardless if they have an on-premise servers or not, whatever, I will create an account on all their machines, an admin account for my login, and it'll be with my email address. With a different prefix, like some acronym for their business at clockworknetworks.com. and it's just an alias. It goes to my inbox or whatever, it's just an alias. And so with that one account, I install it on all 10 computers. I activate OneDrive. So now my desktop is now a cloud desktop, let's say. Anything I put into that desktop is now going to appear on each of those machines I log into. So instead of running around with a USB stick, instead of running around with or logging into something, where do I keep my tools? Nah, I have all my tools on that desktop. This is assuming that it could run off a USB stick, assuming something that doesn't have to be like installed unless I put the installer on there. I think you know where I'm going with this. So I just log in with like a cloud desktop, the OneDrive desktop. I have a lot of the tools that I might use. I'll put the Malwarebytes Tech Bench on that. I'll put the Revo uninstaller. And I'll put links to things that's like relevant to that location. Like I will put a web link to their printers, so I can manage their printers, from any workstation I log into without a big fuss muss going through my notes. No, and so I've had a lot of time savings using OneDrive in that way for myself as the technician helping out clients.
Very cool. Any other pieces of hardware or anything you use? I know we talked a little bit about the other software and stuff you use. I know it's any manual tools like screwdrivers and things like that, or anything that are your favorites out there?
Early on when I first started, I had the little really inexpensive. I'm looking over my shoulder to see if I can find one because they're kind of everywhere. These little network cable testers, and it just checks for, I guess, continuity. Are the 8 lines showing up here and there, the little hand size thing you get for $10. I swear I still use them all the time. Just for that quick sanity check. I love those. I mean, it's not, you're only gonna get so much out of it, but you get a lot out of it for like $10. Right. Just buy a number of them because they break, but whatever.
All right. One of the things that we talked about a little bit earlier is one thing you did in your business that made a great improvement. And we talked about BNI. So let's talk about one of your biggest mistakes or things that you would change in your business, knowing what you know today.
Okay. When I first started with BNI, I joined small chapters. I joined the first chapter that I'd even heard of. I never heard of BNI. And I joined a Castle Rock chapter. It was small, and and I really wasn't finding traction, and no one was getting it. I tried to talk MSP stuff, and it's like, because I didn't know any better. And they had no idea what I was talking about. And they had no idea how it would relate to them. And if it's not relatable, how are they going to in turn sell you? They don't get it. I don't blame them. I barely got it. Jeff. And and then I left that chapter to join another BNI chapter. I made the same mistakes, So this is what the lesson learned is I stepped away from BNI for a couple of years, and I got more involved with things like MSP Unplugged and more involved with my peers and stuff. And I decided, you know what, it's this is early quarantine. I'm like, I gotta grow the business, but what can I do differently? Well, BNI was kind of a dog for me, but maybe it was a wrong chapter. I don't know. So I was patient, and I checked out my BNI chapters in the Denver area. And I was waiting to see one that had 35 members or more that had an opening for IT. And I probably waited a few months. I looked every month for like 3-4 months. And sure enough, I found one. And I applied. And this is a numbers thing. They just had 35 members. I'm like, and they accepted me. And that's been a game changer for my BNI experience. Now it's a bigger chapter, and the chapter now has over 40 members, and they keep score in BNI. There's 25 chapters in the Denver area. We're number 1. And when you're part of a number 1 chapter or a highly ranked chapter, a lot of people want to join. And that's awesome. That means you get visitors every week. And it's just the snowball just keeps getting bigger and bigger. And so my lesson learned was be patient. Look for a chapter that was, for my criteria, I wanted more people in it. And I got in, and now it's been successful for me with that example I gave. The word of mouth Facebook group where I was able to mobilize the chapter members just to come in with a testimonial for me. And because it was a larger chapter, I had helped more people. And like I said, it just snowballs.
Very cool. All right, let's take some questions from the chat room. We've got one of the questions is productivity apps and internal business apps. And that's from Pro Tech Guy, Kyle over there. Thank you, Kyle. And I know we've been talking about in a Facebook group, productivity apps and things to keep you on track and stuff like that. But what are you using in your business? Obviously, you're using OneDrive, but what other things do you use to keep you where you need to be when you need to be?
Quick for those that use QuickBooks Online, what I've been really pleased with is so I use it. It's funny. I don't have a PSA or CRM or nothing. My goal is to send out maybe like 15 invoices or 25 invoices a month that represent, a big chunk of my income. I'm not looking to take over the world. I just want to send out sizable invoices so it keeps things simple. I keep things in my head. QuickBooks Online serves me well. What I really like has been a game changer with that. They changed their interface, when you first log in, the dashboard and stuff, or maybe I just didn't notice it at first, but instead of going to if you want to look at an invoice, instead of going sales invoice and look at the thing and find it, now they've changed it to this workflow dashboard where it's like, if I want to send an invoice, that's what's in my head. Poof, they have the workflow of what goes to what, and one's called send an invoice. And I just kind of like it's more intuitive and much different from the 1990s mindset of the Windows, file, view, open, the kind of drill through stuff. It's more visual and accessible to get to where I need to go. So I've been excited about the QuickBooks Online. I'll call it an innovation or user experience. The productivity apps. I don't know, Jeff, what's an example of a productivity app that I should be talking about? The question.
I mean, productivity app, it could be, a calendar, a to-do list, something that keeps you on track for where you need to be, what you need to be doing on a regular basis, that type of thing.
Yeah, I'm not great with that. I'm more of a checklist person than a list person. And we're talking about lists, how to keep things from dropping off and being forgotten about. So to keep my head straight on stuff, I am good with the Google Calendar and using that a lot. And unfortunately, I'm really good at clicking at an event and dragging it to the next day because I didn't get to it.
I hear you there. That's a tough one. All right, we got one last question here, and that is, what are your business goals for 2021, 2022? Where do you see yourself, I don't know, mid 2022, a year from now?
Well, if I can, my goal is to stay a one-man owner-operated business. I never want to feel the need to hire because I've gotten out of my depth. So to that end, I'm always looking for solutions that I can systemize, and I'm always looking for opportunities that my solutions are just a great match for. And so as far as my bandwidth now, I feel that I could take on another. I feel I could take on a new client every couple months. That is, say, of that size I was mentioning, 5 to 25. So my goal is in 2021 to get another couple clients of that size, and the same for 2022. And then, I'm not looking again to take over the world. I'm just looking to find great opportunities that match what I can systemize, and not have to staff up.
I think that's a great way to look at it, because I think a lot of times people out there, they see other people that are maybe what they would say is bigger than them. But at the end of the day, when you do the numbers, it's not that much different. So you really need to look at your business and run it the way you want to run it, to make the income you want to make, to do the things that you want to do on a regular basis without burning yourself out. And those are going to be individual things that people need to deal with. They're not going to be, there is no cookie cutter. There's going to be maybe a foundational basis for a lot of things, but how you want to do it is going to be completely up to you. And you're going to find some things, even for yourself, maybe have worked for somebody else, but doesn't work for yourself, and vice versa. So you'll find some things that have worked for you that don't work for other people. And that's just the way business is. But I like how you're going to go get the clients you want, Mike, so that you can have the right clients, the right fit to run your business in a systemized way, the way you want to run it. And I think a lot of people, you need to take that to heart and listen to what Mike's saying, because I think at the end of the day, that is what you need to be thinking about.
I don't know what this comes to mind, and I don't want this to go away, but us to end the show without talking about an experience I had. I was at a Chamber of Commerce networking event. They had their first in-person event last week for business networking for the members, and I did something different. I did something very different that I think is something effective enough. I saw the spark in someone's eyes, and this was it. So I go to it's at a local restaurant bar, and let's not talk masks for the moment. It was at a local restaurant bar, and there was a company, a landscaping company comes in. I mean, they introduced themselves as a husband and wife. So I knew all the decision makers were right there. Husband and wife team comes in, and they introduce themselves to me. And we exchange business cards, and the old Mike Wise would have had some conversation about getting to know them. And I'm thinking, is this a potential client? Is this room a bunch of potential clients? How do I talk about what I do and have them interested? We exchange business cards, and we kind of have lightly probing questions, which kind of deteriorates into the weather and children. And then you wind up spending too much time with them, and before you know it, you've given out 2 business cards at your networking event. So so instead, after I introduced myself and gave my quick overview of what I do, I asked them right away what they do, and they say, and then I asked them, what's a client? Who is a client that I've heard of that you have? And they mentioned some ones I didn't know, and then they mentioned Safeway, and this is a commercial landscaping company, remember? So, and I said, would you be interested now here today at the networking event? Who could I introduce you to that's kind of like a Safeway that you'd like to talk to? That would be your client. And I mean, I just exploded their heads. They're like, what? Someone's going to help me network at a networking event? And he says, yeah, I'd like to talk to, if there's an Albertsons, another Safeway, you know, other grocery store chains that we have. And of course, I don't know everyone in the room, but I know the membership coordinator for the chamber. So I go over and get the membership coordinator to come over. He knows everyone in the room. And I say, hey, Brett, let me introduce you to so-and-so and so. So they're members of the chambers. They're commercial landscaping companies. They would like to meet another business in here that's that is like on the order of a Safeway or an Albertsons that might have shown up today. Basically, a brick and mortar place with landscaping maintenance needs. And the conversation went with those guys from that. I'm kind of excused myself out of the conversation. I followed up with them later, and they were like, "Thank you so much." And that was the spark. And I'm going to guess, Jeff, even if they never need my services, they'll never forget that, or at least not right away, that experience in a networking event. I'm helping them network. So what I've been doing up until then is a good way to get referrals for your business, I found, is instead of asking your clients for referrals, I mean, maybe that's a no-brainer. If they don't know you're looking for business, they can't help you. But instead of that, just take the initiative and refer business to your clients. When you're on Nextdoor, when you're on a Facebook word of mouth, when you're at a chamber event, and you find an opportunity, a lot of opportunities are seasonal. It's tax time. People are scrambling for tax preparation. If you have a tax client, start referring your clients. And I tell you that is another spark. When they get that, it's like, not only is he doing my IT, but he's doing my marketing. Who is this guy? You know, and I've had a lot of traction. I'm not going to say I've gotten a ton of clients out of it in the short term, but that's the kind of experience, that's an unforgettable experience that you're going to have with your clients or with brand new folks at a networking event when you send referrals their way. What do you think?
That's good, man. I'm telling you, that's really the way the world runs. And more people need to understand that when you're helping others, you're automatically going to be helping yourself without even having to lift a finger to help yourself, because that goodwill, that karma, that law of sowing and reaping, whatever you want to call it, it is an actual fact. And it just does work that way. Can't explain it, but it's been working that way my entire life. And those are the things that you need to do. So I applaud you, Mike. Very good that you can go out there and spread the love to other people and help them, because at the end of the day, that's going to come back to you. So that's good stuff.
It's fun. It's fun to give business to your existing clients.
That's really good. All right, Mike, I'll tell you what, I think we're out of time here. So why don't you let people know where they can find you if they want to chat with you, if they want to get a hold of you, go to your website, all that kind of good stuff.
Hey, I've got an ask for folks. My Facebook business page is, if you do a search for Clockwork Networks, I just started doing Facebook Lives with help from another member from my BNI group. His name's Danny Colella. So he does Danny Colella Live. It's kind of like this interview kind of thing. Maybe we'll post a link in the show notes afterwards. If you could go to that and just give a shout out, just say, hey, Mike, good job. Or, hey, Mike, you're a friggin' genius. Whatever you want to say. Because I'm trying to do things other people aren't doing, or at least few people are doing. So things like participating in Facebook Live and this kind of stuff to help. So that's where you can find me. If you go to Facebook, look up Clockwork Networks, and if you find a couple Facebook Lives, if you could just leave a comment, I'd really appreciate it.
Very cool. And we'll definitely add that in the show notes for you. All right. If you want, you can come join us, or actually, not if you want, just come join us every Friday at noon Eastern time. You can watch live and hang out in the chat room over on youtube.com/MSP Unplugged and get your questions answered live. Subscribe and hit that notification button so you never miss an episode. You can also use your favorite podcasting app to take us with you wherever you go, mowing the lawn, doing the dishes, all that kind of stuff that's mundane work, and have us in your ear, hopefully learning something. I want to thank everyone for listening, and we'll see you next time on MSP Unplugged.